Good morning, students. Today for standard 12 our topic for discussion is polygenic trait. Polygenic trait is a type of genic interaction, what we call that intergenic interaction. And here what is it? Basically we'll study that in Mendel's law that there are certain sharply defined phenotypes. Like for example, you can define, say for example, tall plants and dwarf plant, or you can say the flower position, their terminal flower position or actual flower position. Now that means you have only two different types of traits defining one particular character. So we say that this type of characters are qualitative in nature. That means we can say the quality only on two types. So we say that Mendel's law, those which factors are concerned with Mendel's law or follows the Mendel's law are basically qualitative characters. But there are certain characters, say for example the height or weight of the kernel, length of the seed, or say the length of the cob, or say in human being the color of the skin, height of a person, intelligence. These are governed by more number of genes. So we say that the traits that are governing here which have a wider variation, like say for example the human skin color. You will see if in a family the children are having different type. There are 5-6 children, they have different type of skin color. If the parent is a negroid, or you can say black in complexion, the mother is very fair or albino. Among the children you will see there are different varieties of color. We call it mulattoes. Now this distribution that varies among the children about the skin color, about the intelligence, height, all these are generally a quantitative character. So polygenic traits are several genes having a cumulative effect to determine the different quantitative character. That means a number of genes is affecting one particular character. That is why we say it is a quantitative in nature. So polygenic trait basically tells us about the quantitative nature of the gene. Now let us take the example of the human skin color. Let us see here, this was first studied by Davenport and Davenport. Here let us see that there is a negroid, that means a total dark complexion parent. One of the parent is dark complexion. We are denoting with, let us say for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 genes, and I have showed yes is that dark with black dots. The mother, it can be reverse also. So mother is having fair gene, is an albino. Albino means there is no pigmentation there. So it is represented by 6 dots or 6 dots which are not colored. Okay, no shading is there. Now when the gamete formation takes place, naturally here half will come, so half are having shaded or what you call shaded dots, and from the mother say 3 unshaded dots. So what will it represent? Now this represents a type of skin color which we call a mulatto. That means the person is neither very dark or very fair. Okay, that means this in between. Now if this is self-crossed, okay, now there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 6. That means 64 different types of phenotypes will be obtained here, and when we calculate the 64 different types of phenotypes, we see pure black, that is negroid, is 1, very dark brown is 6, dark brown 15, mulatto 20, fair is 15, very fair is 6, albino is 1. That means if you see the graph here, if you plot it, we will see the graph will be like this. That means the maximum number, that is 20 here, that will be the mulatto, and this will show the very dark and this will show the very fair or the albino. That means very dark will be 1 and very fair will be 1. So the graph will be like this. Now this is a type of polygenic trait. So polygenic trait basically, as I said, is a quantitative character where number of genes are denoting different types of phenotypes that we obtain. So we see in polygenic trait in number of things, in plants as well as in animals. Our human intelligence is said to be a little bit polygenic. Our say the kernel length in the wheat is also polygenic. So various different other characters are polygenic. Now this is one. Now let us go to the second topic today, that what we call a pedigree analysis. Now in pedigree analysis, let us know some of the way that how we do this pedigree analysis. Now in pedigree analysis we see this is done in case of human being. Now why do we do pedigree analysis in human being? Because in human being the gestation period is quite long, and you know a man or a woman becomes functional almost, it takes 20 years to be sexually active. And the offspring that we obtain, again, it is very difficult to study by in a human being the generations, 1 or 2 generations. So usually what we do make a pedigree chart to see any type of human genetic disorders or when we study human characters. Now in the pedigree chart, like for example, generally we denote the male, okay, with a square, and with the circle is a female. Then when there is affected, if it is affected, then we shade it. So we say it's an affected male, and if the circle is, then we say it's an affected female. Now if there is a marriage, then we do like this. A connection is there, then this shows marriage. When the offsprings are there, then we show like this, square, circle like this. So there are, this is the first generation, next generation, we can go to the third generation. So like for example here, in the first generation there is 1 male, 2 female like this. Then there are many other things, like if there is a consanguineous marriage, usually we say marriage between the first cousin, we show it with a double stroke like this. So there are various ways of depicting this. If the sex is undetermined, then we show with a diamond-like structure like this. So there are variety ways how we show this pedigree chart. Now in this pedigree analysis, we can study the genetic characters. Like say for example, there are certain characters, like say autosomal, the recessive gene controlling diseases in human being. Now if there is a recessive gene which is controlling a particular character, then you will see that it may appear in the progeny of an unaffected parent. Like say for example, a recessive gene affecting means a dominant gene. Suppose this is an unaffected parent because the dominant gene is suppressing a recessive gene. This is also an unaffected parent. But if this 2 gene comes in the next generation, this offspring can be affected. So it says they may appear in the progeny of an unaffected parent. A recessive gene disorder can be affected, can come into the progeny of an unaffected parent. These are unaffected because the dominant gene is suppressing the recessive gene. It may come into consanguineous marriages between first cousins. Usually this type of disorders arise. Now what are those recessive gene disorders? Like Tay-Sachs disease, albinism, cystic fibrosis and phenylketonuria. These are some of the recessive gene disorders. Now there are certain dominant genes also controlling the disease. In dominant gene, occurs in every generation. If the parent is affected, in every generation you will find the dominant gene disorder. The unaffected parents can never transmit to the progeny. If the parents are unaffected, then it cannot go into the next generation. And affected parents will always transmit it to the half of the progeny. So usually, this type of disorders, which are recessive gene disorders and dominant gene disorders, can be shown in a pedigree chart. Usually also sex-linked disorders can also be shown into the pedigree chart, and there is a way of analysis of this. Like say for example, as I told you earlier while telling about the sex-linked diseases, usually it passes from in a crisscross inheritance. The mother is affected, the son is affected, and from the son next generation the daughter is affected. But in case of autosome it is different. So that is for today. Thank you very much. God bless you and take care.